now we're seated here. We had our food.
I'm sad.
I know, but we have our coffees here from Corazon Coffee, so cheers to that. So now Eddie knows this is the portion of the interview where we get a little deep. We go a little.
I fed him. Now I was asking the question.
Oh my goodness. Well, I want to start with the fact that in a very proud way, I definitely want to bring people to these interviews who represent a group of people who I really love, which are our LGBTQ plus people. Because Anne and I are obviously a very proud gay couple. And also the intersection of being Latinos, being Latinx. I think there's a very sweet spot when those two things merge. So
that's a spot for sure.
It's a spot, right? Yeah. It's a spot.
Not always sweet. It's like mole. Same vibe.
This one. I need to compose myself. You're making me laugh. Okay, here we go. You're throwing me off, dude.
And what?
Oh my goodness. I think it's, for me, it's very special because I think growing up, I felt like I didn't have anybody that could relate to me, especially in my own home, right? Like nobody, could really understand my experience. And so it's been really nice to, as I'm growing up and being more comfortable with who I am and my identity, and meeting people who have that same experience or unique experience, but we have that commonality of like what that looks like. It's very special to have you here today, and thank you so much for opening up about this. It's I think the more that we can talk or have these conversations, and hopefully somebody else can see themselves in our experience and not feel alone. So without further ado, let's talk about it.
Okay.
What does it mean to when you think about the fact that you're Latino and you're gay? Like, what comes to mind in that experience for you?
The first thing that came up was like, oof. Like,
right?
Oof.
I'm like, oh, my stomach just turned.
Yeah, I mean, like, it just, for lack of a better word, just like harder. Mm-hmm. I think because we're conditioned, and I mean, like, I have I'm traditionally Hispanic upbringing, and like, I feel like for me, it was just something out of the norm that just wasn't like never talked about, never seen on TV, never like in the day to day. So yeah, I think it was just like something out of the norm. I was just like, oh, okay, I don't think this.
You're like,
I know, I didn't think negatively or positively about it. It was just like out of the norm, kind of vibe.
Okay. And then when did that start to change for you?
Well, I think even so, like, just growing up, like, it was never so much, I know it varies from family to family, but it was never, like, gays as sin. It was just, like, positive or negative, like, oh, yeah, okay. Over there, kind of vibe. Because I grew up with people like, what's his name? We can cut this whole part out, but what's his name? The singer?
Juan Gabriel?
Yeah, I grew up with Juan Gabriel. I grew up with like Juan Gabriel, Walter Mercado, like
Castro.
The same vibe. That like people like that, you just like never thought twice about. And I think what I grew up realizing is that a lot of Hispanics and a lot of people like in our culture don't really have an opinion about queer people unless it's under their own house. So like, unless it's gonna inconvenient me and like, ¿qué van a decir la gente? Then like,
all of a sudden
it's an issue. But it's like, oh no, I have a gay barber or a gay this and this, and it's fine. Or we can watch Juan Gabriel or Walter Mercado and it's fine. Watch them be like feminine or just dress extravagantly. Yeah. But once it's under my house, it's like, oh wait, that's when it's an issue. That's when all of a sudden like, ¿qué va a decir Dios? I'm like, girl, let's be for real. Like, you had everything but an LGBT flag up here, but I think it's like more so ¿qué va a decir la gente? I think a lot of people are just like super proud and just like I don't want to give people an excuse to like talk shit.
Yeah, and don't you? I mean, I think I get a little existential sometimes in these conversations, but I feel like it's because for generation after generation, right? Hispanos like they may like see it, right? It may be around them. They protect it not being in their home, right? Like you said. But then every generation goes by and nothing that chain isn't broken.
Yeah.
And so then it just perpetuates like we're just gonna keep it that way, and then doesn't make space for people in those homes to feel like can they can they turn to their parent? Can they turn to their sibling?
Yeah.
When it comes to, having the very natural feelings that people have, whether they're trans or queer, it's like there's not space for that. And I feel like I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of us for being like chopping the chain or whatever.
Break the chain,
breaking the chain, and being like, basta, like enough. Like for you, what I'm sure now you may have that perspective now, but when you were first kind of understanding that you might be part of the community, like who did you turn to? Like what were those feelings like, knowing that your home was very neutral about the topic?
It was, at least for me, I think I'm super cool with myself now, and I love myself and I love a bit of me, and that flaws and all. But I think it also took like forever to get to that kind of state, only solely because like, yes, my home was neutral until I came out. Then like it was World War III. Like con mucho respeto, like on my family and everything, but like it turned into World War III because I was the first openly gay family member. Like, and it was very much like, this one no se habla. Like don't say that, whatever. Despite, I was like, there's never been a funk. It's never been like, oh, like maybe, like whatever. I've always been the same. Always talk the same. I will, do whatever. But I think when it came out, it was, when it came out, it was just like it just turned my whole world upside down. And I think because, it just turned my world upside down.
And because you didn't have anybody that you could talk to, right?
I didn't. Like as corny as it sounds, the only gay person that I knew was on TV, and I didn't look like that. So I was like, well, I can't peek it. Kurt from Glee was my first exposure to a gay person on TV that I recognized was gay. That was openly queer. Not like a Walter Mercado or like a Juan Gabriel that are like,
we got Santana,
gay,
sorry.
Oh yeah.
We got Santana, sorry.
But like gay, I know, and a queer POC, like what more? But with them, it was like, oh, could they not be gay?
Right,
but Kurt was the first openly gay person I saw. And I was like,
true.
Wait, I'm not like skinny like Kurt. I'm also not white. And also like don't dress like super like, like fashion, quote unquote fashionable. And so I was just like, well, am I gay then? Like, I don't know. And so I was the first person I saw. And I think that's when I was like, okay, well then I started having a lot of questions about myself. And I think when there are some people that will take advantage of that. If you have like if they see a weak spot or see like that you're not like setting your own, I think people
they will. Because I know my mom would ask me like, oh, and again, when I share my experience, I'm not trying to downplay like what they did, but it is part of the experience, and they've evolved, and we've grown together. But sure, there were moments where she would tell me like, this is probably a phase, and this and that. And it really confused me even more, because it was like all I just wanted was somebody to tell me like, it's gonna be okay, like you'll figure it out, like aquí estamos, like but they didn't,